Hi everyone, and welcome to week 16 of my no-buy year. And in this video, I'm actually not even sure if I can call it a no-buy year anymore because I failed again, I've backslid in a big way, and I've undeniably broken multiple of my no-buy rules. And I honestly thought about giving up completely and stopping reporting on this YouTube channel. It's embarrassing, it's a moment of vulnerability. My behavior is not matching my values, and I kind of wanted to give up, I've got to be honest. If I seem a little bit down in this video, I'm processing still all of the emotions and the guilt and the shame and the effects of failing something I set out to do, I guess. And I will go through the things that I bought and the few upsides about it, and how the no-buy year has helped at least a little bit already, and how I will be continuing with my no-buy year. I'm going to pull up my britches and I'm going to keep on reporting. So next week will be week 17. I might try to do a full no-buy year by keeping on going until, April or May next year, and really trying to actually stick to the rules and make a more sustainable change in my mindset and habits going forward. And I think that actually touches on one of the problems with my approach this time, was that I didn't view shopping as a habit that needed to be changed or a behavior that needed to be changed. I just thought I could stop doing it out of sheer willpower without having a framework or a system. So I'm going to go into those details a little bit more at the end of the video or midpoint of the video, but I will quickly go through the things that I did actually end up buying. Just to get that out of the way. I will try not to be focusing too much on these things, but I will show you what broke my no-buy. And fair warning, I kind of broke it in a big way. There's multiple things that I bought in multiple categories. There's one small silver lining though, is that everything was on the wish list. So that actually represents a substantial difference in my shopping habits. From previous years, I used to buy a lot more impulsively. I used to not think about things for as long before buying them. So that's one small win, and one way that the no-buy has helped me so far is that I've wishlisted it, and I've even talked about these items publicly on this channel before buying them. So I think that is a habit that I really should continue with, at least to help me make better shopping decisions when I do shop, even though I don't want to be shopping this year. And I do want to recommit to no-buy and succeed for the remainder of the year. But again, I'll get back to that later. So firstly, the things that I bought. I'm going to start with the clothes and accessories. The first thing on top here is an MAJ hair clip. And it is the brown or black, I think it's brown, plastic version of the pink one that was on my wish list since January. So for 3 or 4 months, I've been thinking about getting a plastic one of these hair clips, and I pulled the trigger and got one. There was another online boutique that had MAJ clips, and they had this color left in stock, which I actually thought is more practical and versatile than the pink that was on my wish list. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger and bought it. And actually, the plastic doesn't hold as well as the metal one. So it's still functional. It holds all my hair. It will do the job. I was kind of pushed into pulling the trigger because I was getting headaches from wearing a ponytail, just a hair tie ponytail in my hair at work, and it was really starting to bother me. So I thought this claw clip would help solve that problem. And it kind of does, but it doesn't hold as well as I thought it would. So it's not the miracle, perfect, cure-all product that I thought it would be. And that's actually a good reminder. Buying something doesn't actually solve your problems a lot of the time. Even if it is a practical problem, oftentimes there's something not quite right, or the problem you have is not going to be solved by a miracle product in whatever form. The next couple of items, I'm going to go down here actually, are from Abercrombie. And again, you might be familiar with this sweatshirt that was on my wish list for, I think, since January as well. So this is that buffalo shirt with South Dakota and the Badlands, the design going all the way around. I got it in a large so that it would be oversized, and if it shrinks in the wash, or when it shrinks, it will fit how I want it to. And I was on Abercrombie in the first place, shopping for gifts for one of my kids' birthdays at the beginning of May. They are very into clothes, and their gift is basically going to be some summer clothes from Abercrombie Kids. So I was already on the website shopping, not for me, but I was there engaging in shopping behavior, picking out clothes. And I had already kind of talked myself into the fact that it might be okay to buy some clothes for Mother's Day. And I think this was a mistake. I think occasions should not be so tied to stuff. Even things like Christmas and birthdays, where gifts are traditionally a big part of the celebration, I think I need to re-examine my attitudes towards these things. I mean, those times of year might still be a good time to buy some of the stuff on my wish list, but I really want to make a broader mentality change and not see stuff or consumable items as desirable as I see them now. This is where I think my philosophy differs a little bit from my YouTube idol, Hannah Louise Poston's approach, where she maintains that loving beautiful things is kind of a superpower. And I understand what she means when she says that. There is a magic, something special in the appreciation of beautiful things. But I think for me, at least, I want to remove myself from appreciating through acquiring these things. And I almost want to see stuff as just what it is. It's just material objects. This is just a piece of fabric, right? I imbued it with, imbued it, whatever the word is. I attached the special qualities to this piece of fabric with dye on it, printed graphics. It is not an inherently special object, and it doesn't have power over me. I gave it that power, but I, at the time, was not wise enough to see that or didn't feel it that way. So I want to be able to feel it that way in the future. I don't want to be pulled in by the beautiful things. I want to be able to be detached and more logical in looking at them and choose to buy these things. And I know that I did choose to buy these things when I bought them, but it didn't feel as much like an objective, non-emotional choice because I was caught up in the frenzy of shopping and I had a variety of emotional triggers at the time that I don't have right now. So I'll go through those triggers as well after I go through all the rest of the list of stuff. So the sweatshirt, and then what happened after I made the purchase was Abercrombie sent me a $10 gift card because of the rewards points or whatever it was, loyalty program. And I just feel like I can't waste a coupon like that. I know it's stupid. I know this is exactly how they get you back in. The plus side is that I only purchased one thing. I didn't get sucked into purchasing another whole cartload of stuff. And the one thing was also on my wish list for last month as well, so it wasn't completely impulsive. But I did go back and buy the fruit print t-shirt that I had been eyeing. Both of these items will be very useful in that I will wear them a lot. I like them. They're very specific to my needs. So they're casual items. They could be styled with anything. They have just that little bit of personality that makes me feel good in my clothes. But I didn't need them. I have plenty of items that fulfill those purposes. And I was definitely swept up in the frenzy of shopping, I guess, and then the emotional triggers that were going on at the time. The next thing on my list of things that I bought to fail my no buy is this vest that I also talked about in my last things that I wanted. And I also said maybe I should get this for Mother's Day because I wanted it so badly at the time. And I was so afraid that it would sell out and I wouldn't be able to have it. And again, like, what a silly attitude. It's just a piece of fabric to adorn my body with. I mean, clothing has always been my Achilles heel, and I want to say I don't know exactly why, but I've been examining, since I made this failure, I've been examining exactly why this might be. And some of the reasons draw back to childhood and my feelings about clothing as a kid. And I am essentially a child of immigrants. Neither of my parents was born in the US. And both of my parents, I guess you could say, are not culturally American. I guess I would also say that both of them are fairly frugal when it comes to spending on non-essentials, or they certainly were when I was a child. And I remember distinctly many experiences of feeling like I didn't have the right clothes. So there was a soccer game where it was cold, it was fall, and all the other kids had Under Armour to go under their soccer shirt. And my mom didn't know that this existed because we'd never done team sports in America before, or, you know, outdoor sports when it was cold. So I had a fleece jacket you know, non-branded. It wasn't an athletic brand or anything, just a hooded, blue, dull, drab fleece jacket with a zipper. And my soccer coach made me put that bulky jacket under my t-shirt because that's how you were supposed to do it. You couldn't have a jacket on top. You had to have a layer under your team shirt. And I just remember feeling so uncool. And I must have been like 5 or 6 years old. And I was just that one kid that didn't have the Under Armour to go under the t-shirt. And then there were many times in middle school, high school, where I felt like I didn't have the cool jeans. I didn't have the Abercrombie clothes. I didn't have the cool stuff. And so I really wanted to have that. I didn't want to wear clothes that were given to me from my mom's friends whose daughters had outgrown them. I was also tall even back then, so a lot of pants were short on me and I just felt like a dork. I wanted to choose what I wore. And now that I'm an adult and have a job and earn money and can buy whatever I want, essentially, I mean, within reason, not going to try to bankrupt myself or be totally irresponsible, and I don't shop a lot of fast fashion. I think Abercrombie is technically fast fashion, so I can't say I don't shop any, but I really, really try to consider it and avoid it these days. But yeah, I think part of it is just the feelings I had in childhood, and that's why clothing is such an Achilles heel for me now. But anyway, so I bought this vest. This fulfills a function that I had felt was missing in my wardrobe since making my spring capsule and including that brown leather vest and discovering why it wasn't really fulfilling its purpose. This is a little more oversized, it's a little more long, it's longer, and fulfills that purpose while also providing a little bit of interest with print so that I can feel more stylish when I'm just wearing a neutral black or white t-shirt maybe. So this is going to replace that leather vest and provide those functions of layering and comfort without sleeves. So this is the only item I have in my closet actually that's like a layering piece that's not long sleeved or a sweater. So at least it was a carefully considered wardrobe need, even if it wasn't really a need, and it was breaking my no-buy in this period where I made an agreement with myself to not add anything new. And then the last item of clothing is these jeans. Now, these were also on my wish list. They're Tibi. They're not the Sid jean. They're the Brancusi jean. So they're those ones with the sculptural bottom, like the ankle. And I had said in my things I wanted to buy but didn't, that they were sold out in the size I would normally buy. But I saw a fashion vlogger or reviewer say that she recommended sizing down in these. So they were still available in a size down from what I would normally buy. And I did extensive measuring comparisons between the size chart for these and all the pants and skirts that I own. I was doing the waist, the hips, the length, just to make sure that these would fit because they were final sale, which is the other reason I pulled the trigger, right? Because they're originally a $385 pair of pants, and I would never have broken my no-buy for a pair of pants at full price at that price. It was just because they were on sale for $116 that I was triggered again by the FOMO of the sale and the desire for, I guess, more artistic jeans in my life. Another part of this new desire for jeans, because I don't always look around for jeans to buy. I think part of it is because we moved to the city we live now about 2 years ago, and the uniform here, it's pretty casual. It's like jeans and a hoodie. It's what most people wear even to work at my job. And we live in the Midwest. So I feel like everywhere I live, I kind of feel a little bit of a push to conform or adapt my style for my lifestyle and surroundings. I think that's kind of normal. But I can't just be happy wearing regular jeans and a hoodie. Like, that's just not stylish enough for me and my interest and love of artistic fashion. So I think what I've been attracted to these days is more artistic jeans, which is why these and the Sid jeans have been on my wish list. And then more artistic hoodies, basically, or like casual tops, which is why I got that sweatshirt and that t-shirt with the graphics on them, because it's a little bit of an elevated or more personal version of the jeans and a hoodie uniform, which is kind of what surrounds me where I live now. So for all those reasons, the sales, the coupons, the new kind of style wants, desires, focuses with the jeans, hoodies, and the vest layer, I caved and bought a bunch of things that I didn't want to be buying on my no-buy year, basically clothes. The list is not even complete. I have a couple more items that I purchased in the early April days, and I'll start with the books. So these were from Target. I had another gift card from Target, so it was kind of pushing me to spend. And these two books, I'm interested in reading productivity and self-improvement books, even though they're all the same, essentially. But I am inspired by little bits of information that I get from these books. And I do have a library app and a Kindle, and I did sign up for the waitlist on both of these books. But because they're so popular, it was about 6 months for each of these until I would be able to read them. And with the Target gift card and also their buy two get one free book deal that they had on, it was a sale, I also bought Wear It Well by Alison Bornstein, which is not even on my local library app, so they don't even own it. So that was another reason I think I was pushed to make the purchase, because if I didn't buy that book, I didn't know how I would be able to read it in the near future. And I'm interested in curating my closet a little bit more. That's kind of why I'm doing the capsule wardrobes and the little bit of outfit content on my channel. So I bought that book and these two books. And again, the coupon got me, the sale got me. I don't know if I'm gonna feel like keeping these books after I read them. I talked about how that's a mistake in my last video last week, getting books, because I don't often keep them unless they're valuable enough to keep. So I know this is probably a mistake. But I'm also trying to get away from the return economy this year and think very carefully about what I purchase so that I don't have to make returns and possibly be sending things straight to landfill, because returns are not often resold as far as what I've learned. So I will be paying the price, keeping these books, maybe passing them on to friends who I think would also get value from them if I don't want to keep them. But I might report back later on if I learn anything from these, because I think a lack of productivity or feeling like I'm not being productive in these days of being a fairly new mom again has been one of the reasons that I've been triggered to shop and break my no-buy. But I will circle back to that later after I get through the last of the things that I bought. So the Sephora sale happened, and I'm not a regular enough Sephora consumer to know when the sales are. I just happened to be looking for mascara to replace the one I've been using since the beginning of the year. So it's been about 4 months. And I just like to have, mascara is like the one makeup product that I don't want to run out of and have none, because I kind of feel like my face doesn't have any eyelashes without mascara. It's like the one thing that I want to have on. So I bought a backup for the one that's just about to run out. So I'm not having multiples of this. It's going to be opened when I feel like the other one is completely used up. And then I did go ahead and get a mini of the Skin Fix moisturizer that's been on my list since January as well, even though I have moisturizer to use up. But my justification here is that I've been using a moisturizer mini because I've had a couple that I've been cycling through, and I have this on my nightstand for night moisturizer. I'm not very good about maintaining a skincare routine, if I'm completely honest. So having this on my nightstand at least ensures that I get a nighttime moisturization. And it also occurred to me that I want to try this before I run out of what I've currently been using, because then I'll know what I like better, for real. So getting a mini seemed like a really good idea to just compare them, and also I know I'll use it up in about a month on my nightstand. And then the mini came with a cleanser and a triple lipid collagen activating serum, which is not really why I bought it, but I'll use this up anyway. And I kind of am shopping around for cleansers. So this, again, is a mini. I'll be able to try it, compare it to what I'm currently using. I know I'll use this up within the year. And then when the time comes to repurchase a full size of anything, I'm gonna wait until I've used up all of my products of the category. So again, I need to be careful about this because I don't want to fall into traps of getting backups and having collections of products to use up, especially consumables that I need to use before they expire. But again, that's why I got the mini, and this is where it stops. I'm not going to be purchasing any other makeup or beauty products, and I'm hopefully not going to be purchasing any more clothes. And I'm going to be setting up a much better framework to avoid falling into the trap of failure in the future. Obviously, it took a week or so for everything to arrive after being purchased, so I've been kind of removed from the actual act of buying for maybe a week or two now, and I guess that's how come I'm in a place here to reflect on it in this video. So some of the triggers that I was experiencing at the time, so a general feeling of blah and a little elevated stress, a little elevated guilt and shame, just through various aspects of life that were going on at the time. So I had an audition coming up, which I've already just taken, and it was in Florida. So we had a little trip to Florida. Auditions for a musician are a source of stress, and I was really, really struggling to prepare this time. So I was kind of feeling bad on a low level for the few weeks leading up to that, because I knew I should be preparing, or I wanted to be trying to prepare, but it was just really hard to make the time. I didn't have any illusions that I would be winning this audition and getting a job, and therefore moving to Florida. But you don't really ever want to do badly at an audition as a musician, and I knew that I was not in a good place to do well. So that was a little bit stressful. I had a couple of hard days at work. We played one of the Star Wars movies, and those are very physical, right? So it's when you have 2 rehearsals or services in a day, you're playing for 5 hours, and the Star Wars movies are so intense that you're really playing and your brain is really, really working and trying to keep up. And the music was 102 pages long for us. So I was physically and mentally and not getting full nights of sleep. So in all senses, I was exhausted. My body ached. Part of the trigger was making extra income. I had a couple of extra gigs in the end of March, totaling to about $1,000 of extra money in my budget that wasn't there before, which also kind of made the shopping feel more okay because it didn't really have a financial impact. I also had some instances of guilt and shame as a result of one of these gigs. So there was a last-minute substitute musician called in for one of them, and long story short, they were trying to pay her less than they had agreed to pay all the rest of the musicians, probably because she wasn't on the initial email that told us what we would all be paid. And it gave me serious ick. And what gave me personal ick is that she was going around asking, trying to confirm that she was paid less, basically kind of appealing for help. And we told her to talk to the contractor, and I overheard the contractor say that he doesn't really control the pay. I think he probably should have advocated for her a little bit, because as a contractor, you have to be able to trust that musicians will be paid what you say that they will be paid. Otherwise, how can we trust the contractor? But he was also a musician performing on the gig. She ended up having to talk to the music director of the church directly, and on the way out I was asking if she'd got any resolution from the contractor, and she'd said no and asked if I would be comfortable staying to support her talking to the director. And this is where I made what I feel like is the wrong choice, and I said no because I had to get back and feed my baby. And realistically, I probably could have put it off a little bit longer to stay and support her, and I felt really, really bad about leaving. And she was kind of a younger musician. She was still in school, and myself as an older and more experienced musician kind of in the field, I really regret not staying and advocating with her. Luckily, I found out later she did get a new check to get paid the same as was agreed in the initial email. But it just really gave me the ick, and then it gave me the personal ick because I didn't behave in a way that I would feel good about later. I kind of feel like I ditched her when I should have been a better musical sister. But yeah, so I was feeling guilty. And then I guess it was really just the being swept up in the shopping that I was doing for other reasons as well. Shopping is kind of the only way that I have of treating myself right now. And I know that's not a good thing, but it's easier than many other things that take care of myself. People with small children, I guess, can understand. It's hard to get a moment by yourself, and it only takes a few seconds to shop, especially when I have this list of things that I want already. It's a wish list, so it's almost dangerous to have that wish list going all the time. I'm feeling now, because I can look at these items and say, I already know why I want them. I've already evaluated them, and it takes 5 seconds to go and buy something and check out and feel a little bit better. Except now I feel worse because I'm doing this no buy year, and I have to admit it to you all and feel doubly guilty about failing. I don't know why. When I see other people doing no buy years, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody fail or have to publicly admit that they failed. I don't know if the algorithms just haven't served me videos of people failing their no buy years, but I feel a sense of inadequacy, a sense of shame and embarrassment, and I mean, I'm very lucky to have what I feel like is a relatively non-judgmental and supportive small community here on YouTube, so please bear with me. I do want to recommit to my no-buy year and succeed for the rest of the year, and like I said, maybe keep it going until April next year so that I can really do a no-buy full year. But I really do need to change my approach, and I've been served other content that might help me, and it's already helped me make some realizations about why I failed. So I had all these triggers happen, and I didn't have a plan for what to do when I was triggered. And I also didn't view shopping as a habit. I actually don't even know how I viewed shopping, but I wasn't looking at it as an objective behavior or a habit that I could change through planning and having alternatives and, I guess, more rigorous measures than just sheer willpower. My plan for success on my no-buy year basically came down to just not buying stuff and just telling myself no every time I came close or wanted to buy things and setting these rules. And I had reasons why, but I don't know that they were actually strong enough or tangible enough to be effective. I also didn't have behaviors in place to make sure that I was taking care of myself and didn't reach the low points that I got to when I made all these purchases. I guess the small win of the failure of this no-buy year is that everything was on my wish list and nothing was bought impulsively. Also, the total spend was in the realms of $350, and having made an extra $1,000, it didn't really put a substantial dent in my budget or financial planning for the year. One of my next videos, I think, will be my financial breakdown and what I think is reasonable to spend on wants, essentially, per month going forward after my no-buy year. And I'm really interested in possibly hearing some feedback on those numbers as well. So it's not as if it's a financial issue right now. I haven't put myself into debt or ruin by failing my no-buy. I haven't accumulated a bunch of useless clutter, at least in my feelings of it right now. But I have demonstrated that I can't trust myself as far as my behavior matching my values. And I don't like that. I don't like that about myself. And I want to become a person that can behave in line with their values, or just basically do what they say they would. So anyway, back on track. I need to view shopping as a habit. I need to remove or mitigate some of the triggers. So I think part of the triggers involve how items get put on my wish list in the first place. So I've already hit upon some of these in the videos I've made thus far on my channel. The social media, so seeing ads everywhere, and then also just being lonely and lacking a community, kind of living in the suburbs. I saw an interesting video on this yesterday about how the suburbs are isolating because you don't have a sense of community. You have more privacy, but you lose the community, and you basically need a car to get everywhere from one island to the next. And it's just not super great for society's mental health. But anyway, so feeling lonely, feeling tired and exhausted, and feeling guilt and shame from other areas of my life, and just turning to shopping for a source of comfort was an ingrained habit that I didn't realize that I had. I didn't see it as the main thing that I would turn to soothe myself. And I'd seen other people talk about soothing themselves with shopping, but until I experienced it in this firsthand way, it was really hard to actually contextualize it for myself and appreciate that that's what it was, and that's what I've been doing. And that's honestly what I've been doing for years. And changing that response is going to take a little bit more than willpower. So anyway, it's time to pull my britches up and get back on track so I can make this a success story instead of just wallowing in my failure yet again. I'm going to keep on posting. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to take it seriously. I'm going to take real measurable steps to change my habits. And I think the very next video you'll see on this channel is going to be the first few things that I've done to try and change the habits, the triggers that I'm exposed to, and reshape my response to my feelings and my environment even to an extent, so that I can live in line with my values. I can behave in line with how I want to behave. And also to make it a little bit easier to do so. So it doesn't feel like my willpower is so tested and so stretched thin, eventually to the point of caving. So this was a little bit of a difficult video to make, and I think I chatted for a very, very long time, and I hope it made some kind of sense. Long story short, I bought a bunch of stuff that I didn't want to buy during my no-buy year, and it taught me a lot about my habits and showed me a more clear path to success for the future, I hope. Anyway, bye for now, and I'll see you in the next one. I've fallen prey to life in the suburbs, where the only thing to do is to have a big house and a big closet and hoard your wealth like a dragon in his lair, accumulating useless junk without the surroundings of nature or society. This is life in the suburbs. I'm the dragon.